Okay, so she was asking about what this class covers. So we're going to go over that in the syllabus, okay? So because what this class originally was, when I started teaching it in 92, we did only flowcharting and pseudocoding. We did absolutely no actual coding, because back then there was not such thing as scripting languages. So there was programs that had to be coded and compiled, and it was like if you take Java or C++, any of those are different than Python. So we're going to use Python scripting language just to implement what we figure out how to solve business problems. And when you solve the problem, you should be able on paper to go through with values and see if your code works. And then you put it in scripting and let the computer do it for you. And most people do that first. They don't like to sit and desk check. And I'll tell you some stories of how when I was a coder for 13 years before I started at Rose. I worked for the State Tax Commission in '78. And I helped rewrite a tax system. But anyway, I did that, and I worked for FDIC. So when I started teaching in 92, things have changed incredible, because when I would get called in the middle of the night for a program that had blown up, like 1 in the morning, I come in, on my desk is this green bar paper stacked this high. All of you guys are probably too young to even know what I'm talking about. Anybody know what green bar paper is? No. We used to have a printer set back in that lab, and you would hear it because it was a big, big monster printer. And the paper was about this wide with holes riveted in it, and it would just roll out like that. Okay, well, when I worked for the state, they had big, what was called mainframe computers that was the size of this whole top floor. And then we had terminals, they were called, with green text come across your screen. And that was how we communicated with that mainframe. Well, when something blew up in the middle of the night, it would print out an error, and the error may be a stack of paper this high, and I would have to go through it. I had to know hexadecimal code, I had to know binary code, I had to know how to go in and find where that program had a hiccup. And so today, you don't have to do that. There's debug programs, and with scripting, you open it up in the browser window. I'm assuming everybody, if you don't know what the browser is, let me know. Browser is like Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, Firefox. And so you don't have to see what goes on behind that unless you just want to. You get to see icons and pictures, and you get to drag and drop. And even when you run the Python code, it comes up and tells you, hey, your error is right here on line 10. And it's a syntax, which means you left off a colon or a semicolon or something like that. It's not a logic problem. And so we're going to write code in what's called pseudocode, in that you don't have to worry about all that syntax. You just first have to figure out what is going to make that problem be solved. What is the code, the logic behind it? And so this is kind of like a generic class for any programming language. And so I don't want you to get real buried into the Python, because this is not a Python class, although students have a lot more fun with that. It was so boring when we used to have to just write flowcharts and code and never get to touch the computer. And so we've added scripting to it. But the whole goal behind this is that you can take the logic that you learn to solve a business problem into any language that you want. How many in here are cyber majors? 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so you all will have a more advanced class in Python scripting. It's called script programming after this. And I know Professor Dewey, Ken Dewey, came to the point where he doesn't require this class for his students before they go into script. But if you have never ever coded before, or if it's been a long time or anything, it's a good refresher course. And so, but that's totally your choice once he took it out of the degree. We used to always require it because we found students were more successful if they had this logic course before they were thrown into languages. Okay, so how many are programming majors? Like you're going to become a programmer, and so you take other languages. Anybody? Okay, so this course is just kind of the foundation for you to go into Java. You can still take script programming, but there's also Java and C++ and different areas than just what cyber does. And cyber used to require Java and advanced Java, but there's only one, I believe Ken said, university that you transfer into that requires that now. I believe that's correct. So how many are, the rest of you must be multimedia. Anybody, I know you are, and Caitlin's multimedia, right? Who else, anybody else? You're Mult? You must be a new Mult. Is this your first semester too? Multimedia? Okay. So what's your major?
Software engineering.
So you're that's right. I forget I have engineering students in here. So the rest of you, how many engineering? Okay, engineering. What's yours?
Same.
Engineering? Engineering. Okay. So with engineering, also, what those students have is the logic course, because they do some Python scripting in some of their classes. I even had some that were taking, what is that? Weather, it's not called that.
Meteorology?
Yeah, meteorology. And they use Python also. So that's why some of them are taking this. And then some of them, I think he's developed his own fundamentals class, Steve Corona. So anyway, there's different reasons for taking this, but basically it's to solve problems. And that is what, if you know, what usually students have a tough time with is nobody usually liked word problems in school. And that's what this is. But what I show you is how to look at a word problem and just grab out just what you need. And that's usually the only problem people had with it. They read it and they're like, it doesn't make sense. They'd rather have a sheet of addition problems or multiplication problems and just do all those. That's just rote learning. See, this is critical thinking. You have to look at the problem, which is really what you do with mathematics, is you have to apply that in your life. Now, what was really hard is people have to take a lot of math that you don't use normally, like college algebra and like calculus and things like that. And you take all those and you don't ever use them, right?
I haven't even taken those classes yet.
Well, you don't have to, unless if you're transferring to a 4-year degree, you have to have college algebra. But a lot of them, you know, if you, like cyber, they do, he has started requiring, depends if you go into forensics or different ones, you have to have like discrete math and things like that. But most class, like graphic design and that kind of thing, you don't have to have college algebra usually. And so that's, and like my kids took, my youngest daughter just graduated with her bachelor's in May. She was 21 and she graduated, and she never had to have, she had something called general college math. So some degrees, because she got her degree in business, so she had to have statistics and things like that, but she didn't have to have college algebra. So now it's a lot more refined. When I was going to school, everybody had to have college algebra, no matter what your degree, if you went for a 4-year degree anyway. So things have, they've gotten more specialized, but math used to be, when I got my degree in computer science, I had to have math. I had to have calculus, all this stuff, because computers back then didn't have all of the software that we have now to help us debug. So like I was telling you, when I had to know binary math, I had to know base 16, base 8, I had to know all of those and how to solve problems with those. And assembler language was not even machine language. Machine language is all just zeros and ones. That's all that the machine, that the computer understands. But now we have all this high-level software that converts it for us, so we don't have to know. Okay. All right. So let me go in and take the roll, because I know I waited a little while to tell everyone. I think the class was full, so I'm still missing maybe one. Let me go to where my attendance is. I wanted to get it up on the screen anyway, so if I don't do someone's name right. Okay, so this is the wrong section. Let me get the right section. Okay, and since we come to class twice a week, hopefully in a couple weeks I'll know everybody's name, but I only know the ones I've had in class right now. So Joseph Bond, okay. I think I just clicked there. Brendan Kessler, is that right? Did I say it right? Yeah, and if I don't say your name right, let me know. Doesn't mean I'll do it right the next time, but I'll try. Samuel Dolezal, Samuel? Okay, not here. Alex Freeman. Wow, maybe we have some that already withdrew. Mark
Gaffrey. Yeah.
Gaffrey. Okay, thanks. Zachary Hall. Okay. Gabriel Hill. Okay. Catherine Howell. Isaiah Johnson. Haley Lashley.
Here.
Right there. Okay. Caitlin, I know. Laney. John. Okay.
Here.
How do you say it?
Adage.
Adage. Okay. Chase.
Yes.
Okay. Samuel Nixon. Okay. Jamie Smith. Okay, and you've already done your pretest, I saw. Colby Tabor.
Yeah.
Okay. Samuel White.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that everyone that's in here? Is there anybody that I didn't call your name? Okay. All right, so if you have not gotten into Canvas yet, you'll want to get into Canvas with that login so we can kind of go over. Did anybody have trouble logging in? Great, that's awesome. Sometimes they do. All right, so if you got logged in, this was just a welcome that some saw, and it was, let me see if it's not showing me where I can go into student view. I must have to do that. Let me see. Well, I may have some things showing up here that you don't see because I'm in instructor view instead of student view. So if there's some links over here that you don't have, that's normal. Okay. So, and the announcements too, you probably don't see this one because I think that's for my online student. So you should just have one announcement showing. And here's where, if you have logged in before today, you should have started here. And it says the welcome, read me first. And this is about the course, the announcements. We can go over the syllabus. And so in the syllabus, you'll see my information. And also I do, during my office hours, they're actually posted inside the instructor information discussion, and they're also on my door. So let's see right here. If I go, oh, I thought they were in here. Did I not put them in this class? It's the Zoom link. Well, I guess I didn't put them in this class, so I will pull them up right now. Go back here. I thought I put them in here, but I must have, unless they're in another place. Let me go down and make sure they're not somewhere else. Hold on. Okay, there's a syllabus course virtual instructor's office. No, maybe not. Well, I'll pull them up. If I don't before the class is over, just remind me and I'll pull up the office hours, because we have a lot more extended office hours this semester. We have 2 hours required every day, and then I'm here a lot more than that, the 4 days, Monday through Thursday. So this gives you a little description of what I just told you. It's an introductory course in developing both procedural and object-oriented logic for problem solving. utilizing several program development tools and techniques, including traditional flowcharts and pseudocode. This course will present the core concepts of writing computer programs: variables, decisions, loops, functions, and objects, which apply regardless of the programming language. This course is designed to assume no programming experience. A script programming language will be introduced and used to implement the core concepts. Okay, so we used to also use JavaScript instead of Python, which for my graphics people and web people, that's really what is used instead of Python in multimedia and graphics design. And there are a lot of tutorials if you're interested in learning the JavaScript that I can point you to. Python is similar. It's just a little easier than JavaScript, so that's why we kind of start with it. And also Ken wanted us to, Professor Dewey wanted us to do that. Okay, so you'll notice that there's not a link here to the book. Let me go down here, textbook, because the link is inside another module. So we're going to click on that here in just a minute. So these are the course objectives, and I'm not going to read through those. Technology expectations. It is expected, and you all are not online students, but you will do a lot of the work outside of class. And so you either can use your computers at home because there's no special software that you have to use but Python, and it's free to download. And we're going to look at that here in a minute. But the lab computers across the hall, that lab's always available to you if you're here and you don't have Python on your laptop or whatever. But I'm going to show you how to download that, probably not today, but there's a tutorial that'll help you do that. So I expect, since you all own computers, that these are things that you're familiar with doing on a computer: create, save, print, word processing files, etc. How to create folders to put your work in so that it's organized. And then you will also submit some assignments here, and I'll show you how to do that. Since about a third of our class is new, then you've never worked with Canvas. So that's what this is called that we're in right now. Canvas is our interface. And how many of you only used D2L before? Okay, so this is your first time with Canvas, right? Okay, I started last spring with it, and it was a learning experience because I'm old, learning from D2L that we've been in for like, oh gosh, seems like 15 years, and going to Canvas. I had to change all my courses into here. So I'm still experimenting with better ways to utilize it. So I learn every semester. I never stop learning. Except for I'm going to retire. So I'm going to put that. I've been here 30 years. Okay, so here's the grading scale, A through. If I just do the basic grading scale, some teachers may do 93 to 100. I don't. I do 90 to 100. And the way I use attendance, students that have had me in the past know that I don't count off if you're not here. The issue is if you're close, like say at the end of the semester you have an 88.9 or something, if you've attended class, because this is a lecture class, then I push you over to the 90%. So that's how attendance helps. And even if I don't take it every single day, I get to where I know who's here and who's not. And the thing is, because I record my lectures, I realize that students, you know, they don't have to attend class. And that's why I don't, take off for attendance. The issue is I have an online class, and I'm assuming that because you are attending the lecture class that you wanted to be in a lecture class. And so if that's the case, I expect that you will attend. And if you're having issues, this is the best way to let me know, is to attend class, because I will reserve a lot of my office hours for my online and hybrid class. That doesn't mean you can't come by during that time, but if online students are I don't have the face-to-face with them all the time, so I try to leave that open for them. Okay, so here are the assignments in groups, and that's how Canvas is set up. There are groups of assignments, and you will be, the participation is that, did I do meet the class with this? I think I took it out. I don't think we had to do meet the class, right?
No, we do.
We do? Okay. So it's, there's a meet the class, that's 5%, and there's another thing, I think, I can't remember what it is. But mind tap coding problems, you'll see what those are. Those are part of your textbook, and it's a lab environment, and you will actually do Python coding in there, but not the first 2 chapters. So we're going to do some other things with Python too. Then these are other assignments that I give you that you do in the Python environment, and some of them are pseudocode, flowchart. These are out of the textbook. These are just tests that are in MindTap, and they're kind of what I use them for is to determine if you read the ebook or not. And because that, I like for you to read it before you come to class when I'm going to lecture on it, because then it will make more sense to you, maybe if things you didn't understand when you read it, but at least you've seen the information prior to class. So I always put a due date on those before the day that I'm going to lecture on those. And the thing that's different about those versus these tests is that you have the option of taking that as many times as you want to get the score that you want. And they're usually 10, like only around 10 questions. And you can flip back and forth in the book and find the answers. So those points there, it's just up to you how many of them you want to receive.
So it's not like last semester's with the last program that we used for the multimedia, or
Which one do we do? For
we
multimedia?
used what was it called?
Oh, you're just talking about where we had a midterm and a final. In intro to multimedia, I think that's all we had. Yeah, no, but we have some other tests. See these down here that say coding test 1 through 4? You see how much more they're worth, 40% of your grade. These are inside, and I'll show them to you here in a minute. But these are before each chapter, or it's referred to as a unit, I think, in the ebook. I can't remember how it's either unit or chapter. There's 6 total unit tests that you'll be taking this semester. We have 6 chapters or units that we will cover in the ebook. There's actually 7 in there, and if we can get to 7, we will. But a lot of times we don't get to 7 because these are the ones that are the most important. And sometimes I integrate 7 in the final project, but we don't go over the textbook portion of it, okay? So there will be, and those are 15%, just like the homework and the problems. So altogether, all of these count a little bit more than this. And then what the Learn Python is, very easy. It's tutorials, and a guy goes through exactly how to install, how to do this, and then he works problems. But you get the problem code to work yourself, but you can follow along with him and code it. So all you have to do is do a screenshot for these 10 points, and it helps you with Python, because our textbook does not teach you Python. Our textbook teaches you logic, okay? And it has problems that we solve. And it shows you flow charting, how to flow chart, okay? But this little guy, he teaches you Python, plus we'll be going through some problems in class, but if you want to get ahead, you can go in and do these sections first. Then the coding test, these are the ones that you take. There will be 4 this semester, 1 each quarter, okay? So at the end of 4 weeks, we'll take 1, which will cover a problem that you haven't done before, and you will come into class, you will get a printout of the problem, and you will set it either your computer or you can bring your laptop, whichever you're better feel more comfortable with, and you'll do flowchart, pseudocode, and a Python script for that problem. Okay, and maybe that sounds mind-boggling right now, but you will see we will work up to that. Okay, and we will do a problem exactly like what will be required of you in class. Okay, exactly, it'll just be a different problem. Okay, so don't let that bother you. We will work up to it. Okay, now here's the other thing. The final, you don't have to take if you don't miss one of these 4 tests. And even if you're sick and you miss it or whatever, you still take the final, because I can't keep up with giving makeup tests. I don't have the time to do that. So regardless of the reason you miss, I know there's valid reasons. That's why I give this option here, okay? Because test 4 will be identical, except for a different problem, to the final, because this class is like classes where it's not memorization, but you have to remember what we did in chapter 1 to be able to finish chapter 4, or I mean take test 4, because it builds. Okay, everything builds on each other. It's the concepts. You have to know how to do sequential statements in order to do decision statements with if then else. Okay, so it all builds. And so this is just saying that's 100% of the grade. So it's in percentages. They represent different points. So when you go in and look at the assignment, you can determine which one, like if you don't want to get all of these done, say, you're satisfied with a C, then you can go in and see how many points you need in order to get a C if you want to. Okay. So then I talk about the attendance policy, and I've already done that. Submitting assignments. Our assignments, we don't really do anything with a Word document, but we do with a PDF, and we're going to set up an account, a free account in Lucidchart, which is open source. It's not really open source, but it's out on the internet. And that's what we're going to use to build flowcharts with. Create flowcharts, and it's drag and drop shapes, okay? And probably about the 4th week, after the 4th week, and I require a flowchart on the first test, then I give students a choice to either pseudocode or flowchart. About probably 95% of the students choose pseudocode after that. But it's very important that you learn flowcharting, and some students do see pictures better, and so flowcharting flows out the diagram of solving the problem with shapes versus just code. All right. So those are the 2 things that we're going to be doing. There's something about, okay, now, I know you guys are accustomed to mostly just text, but you must remember that your email address here, you need to get logged into that, because all communication with Rose State comes through that Raider email. And so you need to check that a couple times a week. All right. And also within the class, there's you can email me within the class, but my rose.edu is what you would email me by but you can click on inbox here in Canvas, and you can send an email to anybody in the class. Yours won't have all these that I have, but you can, I can go to this class, which is right here. And then I would just say a new email, and I can pick which section. Oh, I can make sure that I'm doing it. I think that is the right one. Well, I can look here. So then, yeah, I'm in the right one. So if I wanted to email all of you guys, I would say students, all students, first day, oops, day. Okay, so that will go to all of your Raider emails, okay? So that's how you do any kind of emails with the inbox. It's a little different than it was in D2L. You had to go over the class list and pick, okay? All right, so let me go back to the course here. So that should be, now in all of our syllabus now, our syllabi, what we have to do is at the bottom is a link to an addendum right here, which has all the stuff like for disabilities, for all the legal things we have to put in a syllabus. It's all in one spot now on a PDF right here. Now, this down here that you see, don't worry about that because those dates are probably going to change. It automatically puts that in there whenever I put assignments, and I don't know how much of it you see, and if you see all of that, I can't recall. So that should be all of the syllabus. Any questions about the syllabus or the course? Okay, so we're going to go over then to the rest of that on home. And if you're having any trouble navigating in Canvas on this, I think it's on this welcome here. There's a little Canvas overview video here. So if you're new to Canvas and you want to see, you know, how everything works in a little video, this was real good. And I would have watched that, but most students, they just figure it out. So it's not as difficult for you guys that have been in computers or had something like this device in your hand your whole life. Okay, so let's go down to where the home modules are. And this is just a little bit about myself. That's mostly for my online students because I've told you also that. Prepare for class. Okay, this is the one that, this Head First Programming PDF book, this is a free book that I used to only use it, but it didn't have a lot of things about flow charting and other things, so we couldn't use just it. But I will, I think it's the second or third week, we'll do a little Python program in there. And what's the difference with this book is that you can work through it yourself, and the answers are on each page. There's an answer, and I have all of the Python that I can give to you in a zip file that where they all work. But some students really like this format. I'll show you this guy. Oops, I didn't mean to click on there. He writes a whole lot of books. And I loved using them, but some professors said this was not a typical textbook. And so, let me see. Oh, I must have not moved it over yet. And so they didn't like using it. And let me see. I know it's in there. Let me find it. Head first. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay. So it looks kind of different, the front of the book, and you can actually buy get the printed one of these off Amazon because they're real old, so they're real cheap. But it's called Head First Programming, and what you'll find out is this publisher, they write for all languages. Like if you wanted to learn JavaScript this way, I'll show you how they teach. It's pretty different. So like this first one that we do in here, you go through, it starts out how to use this book. I can't believe they put that in a programming book. What is this book for? But I'll give y'all an introduction to this book whenever we get to it. But if you want to go through it, it's pretty fun. It's just, it'll say, do this. Okay, it's written like that, conversational. It's not like a textbook where you read a page and boring page and like you're going to get in the ebook. Okay, so that's something that we'll be using, just not the first week, I think. And now I ask you to update your profile with current information and a photo of yourself, and that's part of the participation grade there so that I can start matching faces with names. Now I'm not sure if I changed this Zoom link, but you all won't be doing much Zooming since we meet twice in class, but if there's an office hour and you can't come up here and you want to talk to me, we can do Zoom meetings during the office hours, but you do have to have a webcam and a mic to do that. And okay, this is one of the first things that we're gonna do. So everybody can go into here and click on this link, because we're going to be using flowcharts right away. So we're going to click on this link. This is under the Prepare for Class, under the Home module. Home module, Prepare for Class. And then we go down here, Lucid Chart. I want to try to get this stuff out of the way. Okay, so you have to create a new one, and it's a free account. And they even have a mobile app if you want it on your smartphone to create flowcharts. You can do a lot of stuff with Lucid Chart, but you can click on set up a free account. But I'm going to log in here with mine. And if you have trouble, let's see. We can look at it after class, because we're not going to, you don't have an assignment for next time in it. Now yours won't look just like this, because I have a lot of documents that I've already got. Rosie Mill. It can integrate with Canvas, but I haven't done that. I need to have them do that. The Google is integrated, and Google's in Canvas too, if you want to save anything to drives. But what we will be doing here, I'll show you how easy it is. Like if I want to add, I can click add a blank document, and we'll go through when we first create our first flow chart, but you just drag and drop things onto there. That's a process. This is a decision. So all we'll be using in the beginning will be this shape and the process shape, and that's it. And then the lines we have to use, the very first flow chart that we do. But you can also, what we'll use it for is pseudocode, because instead of using Microsoft Word or text editor or something, you can actually just put a text box out here and type inside here, and you can format your text just like you would in Word or anything else. So did everybody get one set up? An account, I mean? Not. So now you've got to log in for Lucid Chart, and that you see is out on the internet. Therefore, you can do that at home. And the thing that we do here with it, let me see if I can open one that I want to. You see where it says download as? You won't save your document. You will download as a PDF. And that way, then you have a document that you can submit in the assignments. Okay, so like if I go over here where I had, let me go to File Open. Why is it not giving me the open? Oh, well, I'll just draw something on here. So I'm going to put this one up here, and then it will let me drag a line from the shape, and then I can do this one. It's pretty easy to use here. Drag another line, so I have another process step, and I can drag another line, and that's my stop. So in here would be my stop. Up here is my start. And if you can't see these, because I don't have the text very large there, I'll do that later whenever we actually do it. This is something like if I was doing a problem where I said sum equals num1, which you're not supposed to know how to do this, okay? This is just for an example. I'm just showing you, so don't freak out if you're just saying, I have no clue what she's doing, okay? So if I did this, and my line got crooked, but say that was my problem, I'm done with it, so I'm ready to submit it as an assignment. Then I would go File, Download As, PDF. It creates a PDF, and then I come over here, and it's not showing the whole thing on my screen, is it? And the download settings, I don't know why it's not letting me save it. Should have let me save this one somewhere. I think I don't have it showing all my screen. Come on. There we go. So it should say download right here. And so then I would say download. And then I can name it right there. And I'll say sample 1. And it's going to automatically put a PDF in there. Oops, that's the wrong section. Here. Fundamentals. Save. So now I've got it in my folder and I can submit it in Canvas. So now I'm back to Canvas. And the other thing, we're not going to do this today, but this is a link that takes you directly to the Python website. And depending upon if you're on a PC or on a Mac, you have different downloads. So whatever your home computer is, but you always want to download the latest 3-point version. If you don't want to ever, see if you go to Windows, there's the releases of Windows. You don't want the release 2. You want release 3. Yes?
Last week I downloaded the Microsoft Integrated Development thing, and it had Python that you could add to it. It's the Visual Studio. It's for like coding and stuff, because I was looking at solo learning.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know if that was the right Python or not, but I do have that one.
As long as it's the 3 version and not the 2 version, then that's what, okay.
Because that's what they have it set for whenever you
Download Visual Studio, okay. Okay, so there's the meet the class. Oh, I did say online students only right here, Laney. You didn't really have to do meet the class, I think. But if you did it, that's okay. Because I put it right here, online students only have to do it this time. But if you did it, then that's the 5% in there. All right, so there's, there's a couple other things. Okay, so I'm going back up to my home again. I'm going to go down here where it says course information. And there's a student registration video, but we're going to click here. Also, you'll notice Lucid Charts out here again, down like all that. Okay, so now we're using Cengage. Did anybody buy their book at the bookstore or their access code? Okay, so if you bought it at the bookstore, instead of doing it here, you can register it right here. So how many of you heard about Cengage Unlimited? Okay, so Cengage, if you use a Cengage book in any other class, it would be to your advantage to purchase Cengage Unlimited, because I think it's $119 for unlimited, which means that covers any class that uses a Cengage book, okay? And if you still want some more explanation on that, we can give it to you. But one thing also that Cengage does is when we click on this, you don't have to purchase it today. You have 14 days in which to purchase the access code. Yes?
For Cengage, it says it's 14, but I don't know if it's exactly 14. It might be 7 depending on like whenever you purchase it, because when I did the trial for it or whatever.
Oh, did you already start the trial?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I have the full version of it.
Okay. Yeah, if you started it before now, it's still 14 days, but if you started it before the first day of class, then you, of course, will have 14 days. So you have 14 days for the time that you go in here. And this will explain a lot of that if you want to go back and watch that video. But if we click here in Canvas, you don't have to buy anything. You can go ahead and do this with me, because here's what I tell students. There's no excuse for not having your assignment done on Wednesday, because you don't have to wait for a textbook. Cengage lets you have access today. So used to, classes the first week was kind of a blow off. Oops, not anymore. Because in this class, you have access to it for 2 weeks if you don't have the funds to purchase it, but you have to by the end of 14 days. So on Wednesday, I'll show you what the assignment is. Click there, and it's going to load your content, and it will load it in a window outside of Canvas. You notice Canvas is still open over here, and here's what we just clicked into. Now, let's see, something has happened that mine's not. It's not showing the whole thing. Let me make it go here. Okay, so now what we have, this is what Canvas looks like. I'm sorry, what MindTap looks like. And if you clicked in before this morning, you probably saw all the units, but now they're hidden, all except unit 1. So what you do, these data files here, we actually do not use. You can use them for, there's a couple of problems that we don't do every unit that if you want them for extra practice, you can download them and I can make them visible to you. They're like called, I'll show you, debug and something else. But the pre-course assessment, you get 5 points for just doing it. Doesn't matter what you make. This is just to show me who already has some logic background, okay? So it's not anything to do with Python. It's to do with programming logic, okay? So when you take that, that's what these scores are. This is showing there's 38% of you, then that's actually all 3 sections there. So this gives you a welcome to how the course is set up. Now, if you wanted access to the whole book, you actually have the full book right here that you have access to. There's a lot of little tools here that you can explore. There's a place to take notes. There's flashcards here for the terminology. Then it'll even read to you right here, okay? So if you don't want to read. Or, so start your school, there's a portfolio. Here's a glossary of terms. This is the notes where you can open up and take notes over here. But if we click on, these are appendixes in the book. So you remember when I talked about different numbering systems? This is an appendix on different numbering systems if you're interested in doing that, not required. We used to require a section in there, not anymore. Okay, unit 1. This one also, has anybody in here taken Intro to Computers or Intro to Micro Applications? Okay, so this first chapter, a lot of it may be some of that terminology that you learned in those classes. It doesn't delve straight into coding, but this is where the chapter is. If you click here, this part gives you the objectives for the chapter. This is the actual chapter in an ebook format where you can go in and read the book. And these are the objectives. I'm sorry, this is the table of contents. So understanding computer systems, understanding simple program logic. These are the things that I'm going to cover in class next time. All right, so I want you to have gone in here and read this. You don't have to do any of these exercises until there is one assignment where I have you do some that are in this book. Anytime I say, go to the ebook exercises, this is where they are. They're at the bottom of every unit or every chapter. And so if I tell you to go to these exercises, this is where the problems are. And in this particular chapter, it's mostly terminal. Oh, here they do draw a flow chart. I think we do some of this in class. Okay, so that's where the exercises are. If I refer to the exercises, that's what I'm talking about. So next class period, I will assume that you have read this and we're going to go in and talk about it because all of this is the basis for what we're going to be learning all semester, but we're just going to go into more detail about it, okay? And we're going to actually write pseudocode, write flowcharts, and these are things that we just touch on. So if you don't understand them this first chapter, don't panic. We're going to work on it all 16 weeks, okay? Well, not all 16. Hopefully by the maybe 14th week, you've got it all, and we're just reviewing things, okay? So these are the terms, and those are what's covered in that unit test. So and the way you get around here, I want to get out of the chapter. So, and you'll notice you have some things you have control over here. You got a bookmark. You can print a page or two if you wanted. You can increase the font here. Now, if you wanted the whole textbook printed, when you buy it this way, you have you can get the printed textbook at a smaller fee, but it's not required. Okay, so if you're fine with ebooks, then that's all that you're required. So if I click on the X, it closes me out of the read section. And on every unit, there's these two little videos. And I'll play one of them right here. Let me turn my, oh, I think you can hear it off of my computer. Let me see if you can. Can't remember if it's up there.
What is a computer program? In this segment, we're going to explore the world of computer programming by looking at exactly what a computer program is. 1. You begin with problem. 2. Develop a solution. 3. Solve the problem. A computer program performs 3 functions: input, process, output. What's an algorithm? It's a step-by-step set of directions. It's very much like directions for baking a cake. You can imagine if you ice the cake prior to baking it. Each step must be logically ordered. Just like the algorithm for making a cake, a computer program is a list of instructions that tells the computer what to do. A computer program is a solution to a problem, which consists of a set of instructions, algorithm,
Oh, did it again.
that tells the computer what to do. A computer program consists of input, processing, and output.
And that will be what we'll be working with all semester. Is every problem that you solve has to have input, has to have processing steps where you do something with that data, and then output. And used to, the only way you could output was to printed document. Now our output will come to the screen. So it's saying when I solve my problem, I've got to have some kind of data. I've got to be working with numbers or alpha characters. There's some kind of data, and then I'm going to manipulate it, and then I'm going to print a report to the screen. Okay, so I'm going to be doing that all semester, those 3 steps. You can go back and watch this one. I'm not going to watch this one right now, but these are always here, and this gives you an introduction to what flowcharts are. And then any section that says code, this is the only one that there is in chapter 1, executing code in Python. We will do this together in class. If you want to do it ahead of time, you're welcome to do that. Some people get frustrated the first time or two because MindTap is a grader that is done by a computer. So it looks at every space you put in, if you capitalize or lowercase, even if they don't matter. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. So sometimes the way it grades, you're looking at it and you're saying, I did it exactly like it said, and it's not giving me 100%. Well, if that happens, just wait to class and we'll look at it. Okay, the study section is the section that has flashcards and I'm sorry, this one has a slideshow. The Reinforce has flashcards for that unit. So sometimes I go to the slideshow, but most of the time when I lecture, I just open up the chapter and I go through some things in there. So you have availability to the slideshow, which is the main points of the unit, and then the flashcards. Then, so this, understand, I'm not going to tell whether you go in here and do this or not. That's totally up to you. It's additional help for you. This is the test that I was talking about that you can do any number of times to get 100% if you want. But it's totally up to you. I don't go in there and look, hey, they did it 5 times to get 100%. The grade out of 10 points comes into Canvas automatically when you take the test, okay? So you can go back in and take it again and again. So this right here is not about anything we've done in class. It's only testing you over the ebook, that unit, okay? And that's the one that will be, you can take it right after you read the chapter. I usually give you, the way our class is, because I try to make all the due dates the same for all my sections, is that most of the time the due date will be at midnight on Monday nights for the end of the week. So like we start, even though our first class of the week is on Monday, I try to reiterate what's due, like tonight. And so I give you after this class to get things submitted. But like this week, anything that's assigned this week won't be due till next Monday at midnight. Okay? Makes sense? That's how I kind of, so everybody has the same due date so that you get it in your head. Hey, every Monday night at midnight, if I don't have my MindTap stuff submitted, it's going to be late. Okay? And it does in Canvas calculate late points this semester. So unless, you know, there's some reason that I tell you that I've extended it and I take that off. Okay. Any questions about MindTap? What you're supposed to do for next time? Do the ebook, and if you want, read unit 1, and you can go ahead and take the test. I think I give you till this one may be midnight. Let me see what that's set for. What does it say? August 29th. Is that Wednesday at midnight? Or is that next? No, next Monday. Okay. So I did set that one up that way. So every due date, I give you a week. Oh, that's the code. Let me look at the test. Same. Okay. So the test is the same way. So we will go through the chapter, and hopefully, I may not get to that on Wednesday. We'll probably be doing this next Monday and start doing some of the exercises, because it may take me the whole class period next time to go through chapter 1. Okay.
So you want us to buy the unlimited version?
Oh, no, you can, if this is the only class that you have that uses Cengage, it may be less. I don't remember. I think it's less for just one instead of the unlimited. You have an option. Now, if you go in here, did it tell you how much when you clicked on it? It told you can do the trial or buy it, right?
Well, it gave me the option to try it, and it said, yeah, I'm trying it right now.
Okay.
And
Does it tell you how much? Yeah, see, if you buy this one is 80, so that's just for this class. But then,
if you get unlimited, you get all of this. So.
yeah, but that's not stuff that's important to you unless you have another class that uses Cengage. Did anybody buy unlimited through here? Okay, was it 119?
I got the 1-year version because I know my next year classes are going to have Cengage as well.
So you got which one?
The unlimited.
Yeah, how much was the
It
unlimited?
was $179 for
1 year. Okay. All right. So if you know this is the only class you're going to use it in, then it's going to be $80. Yes.
Yeah, it's cheaper on there, because I got mine for $250 at the bookstore. So
You'll take it back, right? Oh, you can't. I don't know.
I got the 2-year.
Oh, you got the 2 year. Okay. Yeah, it usually everything, any place you can buy it other than the bookstore is always less. I don't, they gotta make a market. But if you're waiting on financial aid funds, sometimes they don't come in 2 weeks. And so you have to catch up. But whatever you do in the trial version, whenever you do purchase it, it's still there. Okay. So if you work through the trial with your login, when you go in, and because at that same spot where you can purchase it, it should give you the option to put an access code in there also. So if you purchase that from the bookstore, you do that. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody else? Okay. You guys have a great first day, and I will see you on Wednesday then.